All right, we're into crunch time now in the playoff race, and Noodles out west. We have two Canadian teams on the outside looking in right now. Do you think it's the Flames or the Canucks that have the better chance of catching St. Louis for that final playoff spot?
Well, Jermaine, I'm going to go with the Calgary Flames, and people are going to say, hey, shocker, you used to play for them, and, you have a long history in Alberta. But here would be my reasoning. The Calgary Flames have, we'll call it a softer schedule as far as level of competition that they play against down the stretch. They've got games in hand, and knock on wood for both organizations, but they seem to be a lot more healthier. And that's the biggest challenge. Because if you ask me 6 months ago, is it going to be Vancouver or is it going to be Calgary who's in the playoffs this season? I would have said slam dunk, the Vancouver Canucks. Just based on paper, you've got Thatcher Demko, who I think is going to win a Vezina at some point in his career. Quinn Hughes, we know he arguably is the best defenseman on the planet, with all due respect to Cale Makar. You look up front. Pettersson is a guy that can be an impact player, but he's had an up and down season. Besser, same type of thing. You look at Jake DeBrusk coming in. I think Vancouver on paper, if everybody was healthy, it would be a different story. But that's the biggest challenge. Vancouver has not been healthy. They've been mirrored with inconsistency. You look at even Pettersson against the Rangers the other day. He was banged up. Demko's existence as a Vancouver Canuck player, I know there's whispers that he might play soon, but the bigger picture is he hasn't been able to be available to them for the good part of the whole season, and Quinn Hughes has been banged up, and this is a guy that is an impact player. But if they make the playoffs, Hughes gets my vote for the Hart. But for me, it's the Calgary Flames. You look at Dustin Wolf, how great he's been this season. He will be up for Rookie of the Year, and if they make the playoffs, he is my Rookie of the Year. He's been that good, especially on home ice. Jonathan Huberdeau has had a renaissance year as far as scoring goals and looking like the old Huberdeau. He's not going to be a 115-point guy, but can he be a point-a-game guy or close to it, or 65, 70-point guy and be creative? Absolutely. Nazem Kadri. You look at some of the depth of this team. They're playing like a team. So I think the Calgary Flames are better suited right now for that playoff spot. But that being said, let's see if they can chase it down with the 2 extra games in hand.
So, Noodles, you mentioned Dustin Wolf is your vote if they get in the playoffs. Let's stick with that just a little bit. Macklin Celebrini, Lane Hudson getting a huge amount of attention, and deservedly so. However, should Dustin Wolf be more in the conversation, and do you believe that he should get the Calder?
Well, I do believe there's 2 things that factor in. If they're all on the same page as far as your voting, Celebrini is a special player, and I think he's an amazing talent. But San Jose is a team that, will not make the playoffs, obviously. Montreal and Calgary are on the cusp. So if you believe that Lane Hudson and Dustin Wolf have a chance to push ahead of Celebrini, what would be your tiebreaker factor? For me, it's making the playoffs. So if Dustin Wolf can get this team into the playoffs, that's MVP of the team, that's winning the Calder. And vice versa, if Lane Hudson can get the Montreal Canadiens or be a big factor for them making the playoffs, then it pushes him ahead. There has to be something that gets somebody over the top. For me, it's that elusive playoff spot for both organizations. They're pretty much, right in that spot of sniffing the playoffs. So that would be the separator for me.
Now, Calgary is hot coming in. They've won 3 straight. Now, you picked them if they are to catch the Blues, but there's still a chance for Vancouver, who has a couple of games in hand as well. But which of these 2 teams, Noodles, would you think would be the scarier 8 seed if they were to get in?
Well, if health factors in, I do believe it's Vancouver, just based on what I laid out. If Demko's healthy, if Quinn Hughes is healthy, if Pettersson regains his form, which we've seen some spots of it here in the last 10 games. I do believe Vancouver has bigger difference makers, but Calgary is playing a more based game, a more solid game. So I think it's Vancouver that would be scarier just based on their talent level, elite talent level, because, they don't have a Quinn Hughes. They don't have a Pettersson, 100-point guy, unless you believe that Huberdeau is that. So I think Vancouver on paper, if they were healthy, would be the scarier opponent. But again, Calgary plays a better team game right now.
Yeah, it's amazing how the ebbs and flows go in the season, and Calgary seems to be getting hot at just the right time. Noodles, thanks for this.